Hi, I'm Tony Vlahos for ExecuNet, and it is my pleasure to be speaking today with Dano Weisbord. He's the Executive Director of Sustainability and Campus Planning at Smith College. Dano leads institutional sustainability, campus planning, and the Center for the Environment, Ecological Design, and Sustainability. He's focused his professional life on aligning sustainability to business models across sectors. His approach uniquely integrates long-term strategic planning and sustainable stewardship of built and natural resources. Dano helped to make Smith College home of the fifth fully certified living building and to achieve its 20% real food goal in 2017. He and his team are now focused on establishing operational carbon neutrality by 2030. Dano, it's so great to be talking to you.
Nice to meet you, Tony. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So let's dive right into it. Tell me about why sustainability is so important today.
So we are living in a world that where we have a lot of people, and we're living at the edges of the available resources that we have on the planet. And we see that in terms of climate change. We see that in terms of non-renewable resources that we need to make the things that we enjoy. So there are a lot of people on the planet who want to live a high quality of life, and we need a lot of innovation to think about how we provide that high quality of life to 9 billion people that are expected to be on the planet by 2050.
Extraordinary. So as we said, you are the director, executive director of sustainability and campus planning at Smith College. Tell me what you do in that role, Dano.
So I'm really fortunate in that I get to do a lot of different things, but I'm really thinking, I think and work on a lot, what is the sort of strategic trajectory for the institution relative to the resources that it uses and the impact that it has. And some of that impact really is associated with our primary mission, which is we teach students and we support scholarship. So when we think about the kinds of impact we can have, we really do need to use our teaching and learning, mission and the research capacity that we have to advance any number of issues associated with sustainable development.
Mhm. Now, often many of us in the C-suite, when we think about sustainability, don't really tie it to an organization's revenue. Can you give us an example of how this actually works, though?
Sure. I think if we look at, let's look at a non-higher ed business to start with, because I think it's a little bit easier. If you have a business, if you make, let's say you make catalytic converters for cars. Catalytic converters account for the #1 use of platinum in the world. So most of the platinum that's mined in the world goes into catalytic converters. Arguably a good thing because catalytic converters clean up air quality. But there is a limited amount of platinum on the planet, and it gets more and more expensive to get it. And for many companies that do need it, thinking about that supply chain and how fair that supply chain is and whether there's any risk for them reputationally in that supply chain, all those things matter. And if they're thinking long term, and if you're a really big company, you are often thinking 50, 75, 100 years into the future. Those dynamics could radically change. So if you're thinking now about the ways in which your business model and the things you use, the things you throw away, the things that your customers use over their life cycle, you're going to be really interested in thinking about what of those things maybe are at risk or are threatened.
Mhm. And we should all certainly be thinking about those things. So, next question, of course, would be what are some of the barriers to creating sustainability plans at organizations? Is it our mindset? Is it our culture? Is it competing priorities? What's that list look like?
It's right. It's all of those. Well, it could be all or any of those things. So
Mhm.
there are some really big companies that are doing really good work in this area, and there are some big companies that are saying, "Hey, we're just gonna get while the getting's good. We're gonna try and produce a quarterly dividend um, for as long as we can, and when we run out of supplies or things get expensive, we'll change then." But maybe it's not in our best interest to change now, sort of in a proactive state. So there are any number of things. It could be first cost for some companies if they have to invest in equipment or in people in order to change how they do business. If it's, it could be there are regulatory standards that stand in their way. It could be shareholders, boards, senior management. There are any number of places where just like making any kind of institutional change or organizational change can get hamstrung, the same is true of sustainability.
Mhm. Now, where does the burden for making change happen rest? Is it with strictly operational leaders, or is it organization-wide? What's your take on that?
So my take is it's really is a strategic challenge,
Mhm.
and that those who are thinking strategically about where a particular business is headed are most responsible. Which is not to say we all, no matter where we work in an institution, we can be thinking about that and supplying those ideas and those concepts and providing that kind of leadership into the institution to say, hey, you know, these things matter to this company and we should be thinking about them. So I think, you know, there certainly are levels of responsibility, but everybody has a part to play.
So let's continue on that theme, Dana. What are some of the important things that our audience of C-suite executives can do to help their organizations with this?
Well, so I think we're going to be talking about that um, over the run of this course, and I think it's really the thing we're thinking about a lot is how do you actually align your business model?
Mhm.
How do you align your business model to the concepts of sustainable development? Where does your business model effectively intersect with these? Do you already have a strategy? Is that strategy up to the task of climate change or population growth? Is it robust enough? Is it, are you getting both the advantage of thinking long term about your resources, and are you thinking about your customers and the people who may hold you accountable long run?
Mhm. Well, I love the way you think and the way you've expressed this issue to me today and to our vast audience. Thank you for your time and for sharing your insight. Any final thoughts on sustainability before we end our talk today? Fascinating stuff.
No, this is, I'm really glad to be here, Tony. Thank you so much. And I hope to see some of the folks who are looking at this in our course. So thanks so much.
Terrific. I do too. Thank you, Deno.